The year is 2022. The word unprecedented has lost its meaning as the world experienced multiple, one-in-a-lifetime, historical events in succession.
The coronavirus spread across the globe faster than science and human resilience could follow. The world ground to a stop.
We were locked into our homes and locked out of our support mechanisms. Overnight, we became our own teachers, chefs, carers, and cleaners while working from home.
Emotions ran high. Fear overrode logic. Humanity was divided. We were not in this together.
For many, work and school retained the only semblance of normalcy, but many struggled to adapt to remote learning and working.
Mental health vulnerabilities, conflict, complaints, and grievances spiked across the workforce.
The world of threat assessment and management has also changed. We must adapt our practices to this new world, keeping people safe in unsafe times.
Today, 7 highly regarded international threat assessors share their top tips in managing behavioral threats during pandemic times.
Hi everyone, today I'd like to share my top 3 tips for organisational threat management for a well-functioning threat management team. The very first thing we want to remember is that fear promotes productivity. So we want to cultivate an environment of anxiety amongst our staff. Make sure they don't know what's going to come next. You want to have an unpredictable management response. If someone comes to management with a problem, are they going to get a lot of resources or are they going to get dismissed to nothing? You're trying to introduce a variable ratio schedule, like a casino. You pull the arm on the machine, you don't know if you're going to get nothing or maybe $1,000. And when we look at the success of casinos around the world, I think we can see this as a very good basis for maintaining safety and a sense of anxiety within our workplace. It's also important that grievances have an ultimate resolution. People don't want to feel like they're left hanging or people don't know where they stand. So a very good way to resolve this is through a battle royale. Get all of your stakeholders, all of your staff into a high-tech arena to battle it out. No mercy, winner takes all, with only one survivor. This is how you make sure that you have a strong and fast and efficient team. You want an organisation built of the type of people who will eat the corpses of their enemies just to survive another day. My third tip is that secrecy is protective. You don't want too much information around an organisation. You want to maintain silos. Make sure that only a handful of people know important information and they're not sharing it with anyone. This provides a lack of distraction that will improve staff focus if they're not bothered by things like our risk and safety issues. And remember that no knowledge equals no liability. So in summary, we have to conclude that people are just crazy. Human behaviour is impossible to predict or manage. There really are no reliable methods of assessing violence risk. And remember that mental health is a scam. It was all made up so that psychiatrists and counsellors and psychologists can just make some money. If you really want to deal with mental health issues, just use drugs like a normal person. And most of all, remember, people just snap.
I've worked in threat assessment and threat management and related fields since 1997. I've worked as both a practitioner and as a researcher. Now this means that not only have I had the opportunity to put a whole range of de-escalation techniques into practice, but I've also been able to critically and empirically evaluate them. And there is one in particular that stands out for me. When negative people get up in your chakras, you can align them, realign them with crystals. Channel that negative energy to good. Adorn yourselves with crystals. Realign. Take time. Don't give in to the man. And to really realign and get rid of the bad energy, get your spirit animal. Here's mine. He's a vegan space bat.
I'm sure many of you are well trained and highly educated in the verbal techniques that you use while dealing with emotional, frustrated, fearful, or perhaps embarrassed individuals. But we always seem to focus on the verbal side. Therefore, I hope you enjoy the following advice on the non-verbals coming from a happy Finn. What we do know from people who are prone to use violence as a solution in unpleasant situations, these individuals might not always recognize the facial expressions related to fear and therefore might not stop when they have already reached their goal to use violence. Now on this slide, you can clearly see the fearful expression of a Finn. You shouldn't confuse fear with expressions related to disgust, to have that message come across that somebody is deeply offended or disgusted by your behavior and you need to change the course of action. What very often is confusing to many foreigners in Finland is how openly we display our surprise when we are overwhelmed by the turn of events. I hope you find these tips to be useful and that you can use them in any future conflict successfully.
One of the most important tools handling threatening situations is to set boundaries in an intervention. But you have to be prepared really well. Threat management professionals will help you to assist these interventions to have a great impact on the case. Today, I will give you an insight in our work and provide you with an exclusive tip how to intervene successfully. Say it with a song. Do you know the feeling that a song could express feelings better than your words would? Then I will help you out with samples. You all know this song. Let it be, let it be, let it be, yeah, let it be. There will be an answer, let it be. Let it be, let it be, let it be, yeah, let it be. There will be an answer. Let it be, let it be, let it be, let it be, yeah, let it be. Whisper words of wisdom, let it be.
Every threat assessor remembers that first time they were stuck in a room with someone in the middle of a meltdown. In that moment, we have to think of the best and fastest way to de-escalate them for everyone's safety. One of the most useful tools we have in the room when we are faced with a distressed or angry person is actually their emotion. Here are my top 2 most successful methods of working with big feelings. Firstly, it can be helpful to tell them how they are feeling. For example, if someone is being cranky, you can say, "Oh, who is a grumpy bear?" Next, it can be very powerful to mirror their emotions back to them. For example, if you have an extremely angry person in front of you, you can do this.
You know, critical HR skills for de-escalation are empathy and non-judgment. I like to think of it as water. Sometimes you have a colleague who just seems to be a fish out of water. Their head is in deep water, and they just are barely keeping their head above the water. So the things that we can do is, rather than treat them like oil and water, is to let it be like water off a duck's back. Because remember, mate, at the end of the day, it's water under the bridge. The thing about fish is they're the last one to know that they're in water.
Threat assessors are also humans. We are not immune to the pandemic. Adapting our practices to the virtual world can sometimes take its toll. Professor Stephen Hart, a household name in the world of threat assessment, shares his best strategy for managing Zoom fatigue.
Okay, let's start.
Okay.
Okay. Oh yeah, good morning everyone. Yep, I'm ready to get underway. I'm just, give me a second. Okay.
Steve? Steve, are you there?
Sorry, just had to get up for a second. Anyway, yeah. Meow, meow, meow. Down, kitty, down.
Let it go.